Welcome to the Build Your Private Practice podcast, a space for Canadian therapists who want to support others, make an impact, and build a sustainable practice that works for them too. I'm your host, Liane Wood, a registered psychotherapist, group practice owner, and business mentor, and I'm here to help you build a private practice that allows you to keep doing the work you love without burning out. Because the people who need your help the most are counting on you, and you deserve a practice that supports you while you support them. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If the words Google Ads, SEO, GEO, which is SEO for AI, or online marketing make your eyes glaze over or your stomach drop, you are not alone. But the truth is, digital marketing doesn't have to be overwhelming or sleazy. In fact, when it's done well, it can be one of the most sustainable, ethical ways for you to connect with the right clients. And so today we're going to break this all down. I have Adam Jesperson here with me, the co-founder of Fractal Marketing, and someone who's helped dozens of therapists across Canada grow their practices using simple, effective, values-aligned digital strategies. Adam, I'm so glad you're here.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Liane, for having me.
Of course. Yeah. Can you maybe start us off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you came to starting fractal marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working in the digital space for about 10 years. Started by just kind of grinding away at startups, just learning the tools of the trade, like Google, SEO for local businesses, and then had the opportunity to work with a therapist just kind of by chance. Had a lot of success together and just found that I really enjoyed working in the niche. Selfishly, it's a little bit nicer to know I'm helping people find help versus just selling shoes online or doing something
Mhm.
like that with digital marketing. So I enjoy the work that we do, and it feels very meaningful. And we've been fortunate enough to have a lot of success. So this is kind of an industry and a niche that we're really proud to support and work with. And we have a lot of hopefully good information to share with you today.
Amazing, amazing. Well, can you maybe say a little bit more about, any like when you started working with a therapist and you're like,
Sure.
yes, lots of success or some success here. Were there any moments or patterns that you started to see?
Yeah, of course. I think the first thing we noticed that works really well for smaller therapy practices in particular was Google Ads. If we
Mm,
were able to structure campaigns properly, target the right types of individuals who are ready to like book therapy sessions, we started having a lot of success with the first kind of practice that we worked with. Once I
mhm.
realized that was possible and I could kind of replicate that for other practices, we got really excited about that service, realized we could do it at a high level. Honestly, I noticed that the competition just seemed very complacent. People that were offering the service seemed to just use like templates all the time and nothing was customized. So once we realized that we could kind of tailor and customize Google ad campaigns, that kind of became a key feature of our business. And we just kind of ran with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Now, I mean, you mentioned you've been doing this for 10 years. But marketing has really changed a lot in the last few
hmm
years, especially in the online and the digital space. Can you maybe walk us through, what's working right now in 2026 for Canadian therapists?
Yeah, of course. So a lot has changed in the last couple of years. And
Mm,
really the biggest thing you're going to notice is the market's expanded, right? There's way more therapy practices in market, and
mhm,
many of those practices are using digital advertising. I think almost 70% of total ad spend in Canada now in 2026 is digital compared to more traditional forms of media. On
mhm,
top of that, the majority of customers and users are going to use a mobile phone now when they're doing search. So in 2026, you need a mobile friendly website that's going to load fast, also have language that's just clear and appropriate. You want to be focusing on solving a problem, not just highlighting your credentials for folks. So if you can get that kind of wrapped up together on a really nice mobile friendly website, you stand a much better chance to succeed in the new year. On top of that, I would say GEO is probably a new trend that we're seeing emerge in 2026. GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization, and it's really kind of SEO for AI. We're going to start to see folks turn to large language models like LLMs, like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, things like that for questions and answers and ultimately help when they're seeking a therapist. So beginning to optimize your website for GEO is a very important step for this year.
So are you saying that this GEO would actually help, say, like ChatGPT or Claude or some of these other AIs
Mhm.
recommend a therapist or a practice to somebody using it? Or what are we talking about?
Yeah, so when we're talking GEO and just like generative engine optimization in general, we're thinking about optimizing your website to show up on those platforms. So
Hmm.
when someone's looking for a therapist in Toronto or they're looking for an online therapist, they're going to type in certain questions into like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And if you can have ChatGPT kind of be able to crawl and find your website in that process, your website can show up as an answer to the question that they just typed in.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. Google's still maybe 80% or not more of website traffic, but you don't want to ignore the AI piece. A lot of it's going to be driven by kind of Reddit, which Reddit is a great place to kind of find the questions that folks are answering, like looking for and asking on the internet. If
Hmm.
you can have some of those questions on your website as well, and maybe in an FAQ format, then you're connecting a link between your website and Reddit, and the LLM is probably going to crawl Reddit for some of those questions and answers. If they're on your website, then everything kind of links together, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. And at the same time, my brain is going, Ma.
Yeah, it's still very, very new, but it's something you don't want to ignore, especially if you're very niched. You can
Mhm.
go on to Reddit subgroups. Say, for example, you work with folks who deal with like panic, and they're focused on solving like panic disorders and anxiety, things like that.
Yeah.
If you find Reddit subgroups where folks are talking about that issue, you're probably going to find very specific questions about that problem. If you could include those questions as an FAQ on your website, you kind of connect your website with Reddit and you stand a better chance of ranking on something like ChatGPT if someone types in one of those questions.
That's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
it's changing so quickly, isn't it? Like
Always
how
is.
it's changing and advancing and okay, okay.
Hmm.
I think this is this is an area where therapists can um maybe get bogged down. Like, either like they feel overwhelmed with it, and so they
Hmm.
are underusing digital marketing, or they really get into it, but almost like overcomplicate digital
Hmm.
marketing, right? Like it's like there's too much. This could be more streamlined. So what would
Hmm.
you say are a few simple things that a solo practitioner or a small group practice could do to improve their online presence?
Yeah, it's a great question. And of course, there's so many facets to digital marketing that you can just kind of get lost in the sauce, so to speak, and just try to do a little bit of everything without doing anything very well. I would say start with your website. Start with getting a mobile friendly website with clear messaging that speaks to a specific problem and a specific person if you can. If you're a smaller practice, identify a niche, identify the problems that that niche has and that those clients are searching for and orient your website around that kind of buyer persona. Don't go too general. Don't be vague with your wording on your website. Really focus on helping a specific problem. After you've kind of solved the website problem, I would move down to your Google My Business profile. That's
Mhm.
probably one of the simplest and underutilized tools that you have at your disposal, especially if you're location based and you're a local practice with a physical location. You
Mhm.
want to optimize that Google My Business profile. It's called the GMB for short sometimes. We
Mhm.
want good photos on there, not just pictures of like an empty couch, but a
Mhm.
picture up of your face.
Mhm.
Verify the profile, make sure you have the right categories inside of your profile. And then you can actually do postings on your profile. So you can post your service pages as products on your profile. You can add blogs to your profile. And if you do that for 3 to 6 months, you'll grow your local SEO and you'll show up higher in the Google Map Pack. So I would really focus on to begin, have just a great mobile website that's friendly, easy to use, and just optimize your Google business profile. Those are relatively low cost, if not free things that you can do.
Amazing. And is there anything that you think people should stop doing?
It's a good question. I wouldn't run Google ad campaigns unless you know what you're doing, or you have somebody doing it for you that knows what they're doing. I've walked into a lot of situations where practices are using some of the newer types of Google ad campaigns called Performance Max, or they're running like a video campaign and they don't really know what they're doing. No one's really
Mhm.
managing it, and they're probably putting a couple $1,000s down the drain every month.
Yeah.
So if you're going to run Google ads, make sure that either you know what you're doing and you have a good structure in place, or you hire somebody who has experience in the industry.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's, one of the challenges, right? Is feeling like, am I getting a return? Am I, when I say return, that's maybe not the right wording, but am I seeing clients coming into my practice based
Hmm.
on this activity that I'm doing? And and I know for so many therapists, this idea of marketing just, kind of doesn't feel great to a lot of therapists,
Hmm.
this idea. I mean, it's one of the biggest hesitations that I hear from therapists, right? They don't want to do marketing because they don't want to come off as being pushy or salesy. So, there are ethical ways of approaching marketing, but, how do you approach ethical marketing in your work, Adam?
Yeah, I think it's common where we hear that therapists don't want to be pushy or salesy, and it's because they're offering such a personal service, right? You don't want to come off the wrong way before you interact with somebody and really begin to help them with their life. So I completely understand where they're coming from. I think what you need to think about from your marketing perspective is you're helping folks. You just want to show up for the right types of people. You don't need to be everywhere. This isn't like a big flyer that you're sending out every week. You're generally looking to help people who are looking for help. And I don't
Mhm.
think there's anything wrong with that. If you think about Google Ads, it's simply showing up when someone's actively asking for help. And so if you tailor your ads in a way that are speaking to somebody who's ready to book a therapy appointment, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right. I think, it is about the visibility piece, isn't it?
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
someone needs help, like, can they find you, right? When that
Yeah,
person that you
yeah.
can help, right? And that's a really big piece because, I think it's so interesting, in a way, and concerning, I think would be a better word than interesting. It's concerning that, here in
Hmm.
Canada, we have a mental health crisis that is happening right
Hmm.
now, right? There are people who actively, genuinely, desperately need help, and they can't find help that they need. At the same time, we have therapists who are struggling to find clients to fill their caseload, right? These two things
Yeah.
don't match up,
No, no.
right?
Yeah, I think sometimes when therapists are putting their business together, if you end up being a little bit too generic and you're not speaking to a specific type of person, I think we can kind of end up in a situation like that
Mm,
where you're just appealing to everyone and no one at the same time. So
hmm.
again, I think like the more niche you are, the
Yeah,
better chance you have at finding the right types of folks who are actively looking for you.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, you talked just a moment ago about, Google Ads and, running them yourself or, not having someone who really knows what they're doing running the ads.
Hmm.
But let's just talk for a minute about ads. Like, what else do you think therapists get wrong about running Google or Facebook ads, and what would you want them to know before they start?
Yeah, so start with research. Start with the Google Keyword Planning tool. If you have a Google Ad account, you can locate the Keyword Planning tool. It's on the left-hand side of your account underneath the Tools and Settings
Mhm.
module. Click into that, begin with some keyword research, and see if you can figure out what type of search volume is in your area. You generally, for Google Ad campaigns, want to focus on keywords that have a minimum of 30 searches per month. That's
Mhm.
one per day.
Mhm.
And the more niche you can get with those keywords, the better, probably. If you're a smaller or newer practice, I would avoid just bidding on a keyword like therapist near me and making that kind of the center of your campaign. Instead, I would focus kind of on some niche and specialty terms.
Mhm.
Making sure you're running a search campaign to begin is another really, really important step. I find, again, a lot of small practices end up falling into running a performance max campaign or a YouTube campaign. You want to focus on like a bread and butter, old school search campaign. Use exact match keywords, have a strong negative keyword list to make sure you're not showing up for things like massage therapist or speech therapist. Run your campaigns for 14 to 30 days, collect data, and begin to establish your average cost per click. Then you want to set a budget for at least 10 clicks a day. If you do that consistently and you have high intent commercial keywords in there, I think you'll do pretty well.
Amazing, amazing. a lot of that, kind of, I feel like it just went a little bit over my head, but
Yeah, sorry about that. I got a little bit too technical. So sorry. So sorry about that. That is
I
the
think I,
foundational kind of technical aspects of search. So just
yeah.
focus on a general search campaign, I would say, to boil that down. So
And
sorry.
I think what I'm hearing is it's kind of a test and learn mindset.
Yes, yeah, you can iterate, of course. It's not Google Ads isn't set it and forget it. You want
Mhm.
to be testing keywords. You want to be noticing how many clicks they're getting per day, what the
Mhm.
conversion rate of that keyword is. A really important step to Google Ads as well as conversion tracking. If you don't
Mhm.
have conversion tracking set up on your website, then we're not going to be able to measure any success. As we were mentioning earlier, like marketing can be confusing, especially when you don't know what to measure. So
Right.
you do need to measure a ROAS from your campaigns every month. I would also encourage you to understand what it's called your MER, your marketing efficiency ratio. I would encourage you to take a look at your revenue versus your marketing costs every month and just measure that month to month, understanding there's going to be ups and downs compared to the seasonality. But overall, you need to be measuring your ROAS and your MER each month.
And okay, so you said what MER is, but what's ROAS?
ROAS is your return on ad spend. So you want to think for every dollar you're spending on Google Ads, you probably want to be driving $3 to $4 back.
Mhm.
I come into a lot of campaigns and they're running with a negative ROAS or a very low ROAS. So it's important to be focusing on generating a positive return each month and
Mhm.
identifying the keywords that are actually doing that for you.
Right, right. And
Mm,
so, I just want to, chat about that for a minute
for
because I
sure.
know for a therapist, it's like, how do you come up with this return on
Yeah.
ad spend number? And so I just want to encourage, therapists that this, we don't like to think of our clients in terms of how much revenue they're generating. At the same time, we do need to have a positive return when we're doing marketing. And so,
Hmm.
kind of industry standard. So this isn't everybody. This is kind of an average. An average industry standard is that, on average, clients will come to see a therapist for about 8 client sessions. And just because math is like not my strong point, I'm going to use an easy number. So I'm going to say, you charge $100 per client session. So if
Hmm.
you know that you charge $100 per client session and the average client comes to see you for 8 client sessions, then that client value, the lifetime value of that client is about $800 because 8 client sessions times 100. I told you I have to make math easy.
Me too.
But eight client sessions times $100 per session is $800. And so now that you know kind of what, and use your real numbers, obviously, but once you know what that number is, then when you're doing your ads and say you're spending $1,000 a month on your Google ad spend, if you get one client, right, okay, well, that client is, in my example, $800, is like, oh my goodness, I have a little bit of a negative return on ad spend,
Hmm.
right? Whereas if I get 2 clients out of that month, right, now I'm at $1,600, and because I have 2 clients at $800 each, and I've spent $1,000 on my ad spend, now I have a positive return on ad spend, right?
Hmm.
Am I doing this right, Adam?
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you want to figure out, they call it LTV, lifetime value of your customer.
Hmm.
And then like you're mentioning, $100 is a nice, easy round number for the sessions, but we often find lifetime values like over $1,000
Oh, for sure.
for sure for
Yeah.
a therapy client. So if say you're spending $1,000 a month, and if every customer is worth 1,000 and you're able to get four or five, now you've got a 4 or 5x return on the money that you just invested. Um,
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I think about, average client session rates, what the fees are,
Hmm.
I think on average, most therapists are, anywhere from 150 to 250 per
Yeah.
client session. It's just that math becomes tricky in my head, multiplied
Yeah, me too. For
by
sure. Yeah.
But but yes, to your point, right? You can see that, getting 1 or 2 clients a month or 4 clients per month, all of a sudden this becomes something that is very
Hmm.
positive for your practice. right?
Yeah, exactly. The biggest thing will be having cash on hand and cash flow.
Yeah.
That's in like for me as well as a small business owner too, right? I'm in the same boat as everyone here. It's when you start a business, not having funding or not having a large pool of cash to pull from is our biggest challenge generally. So you just need to make sure when you're running your ads that you're just factoring in your finances. You're not spending too much that your ad spend's keeping you up at night, but you're
Yeah.
also not spending too little that they're just kind of not working.
Hmm.
And this is where measuring our marketing is so important because if we understand, hey, I'm getting a 3 or 4x return on my money every month, I'm going to feel much better about investing that money that I've worked so hard to kind of build up in my company into my marketing. So measuring your marketing is an essential piece of having success and just having like mental clarity throughout the process as well.
Well, for sure. And just to, expand on that a little bit, Adam,
Hmm.
like what I'm hearing you say is how it's landing with me is okay, you spend say $1,000 on your marketing and say you get that one client and we'll use 200 because I think I can do the math on
Yeah, that one's easier for me.
that one's easy because if it was 800 for 8 sessions at 100, now it's 1,600. So we'll say it's 1,600. You can go, oh, hey, I have a positive ad spend. The challenge is, right?
Hmm.
Even if that client comes to see you weekly, right? That first month, you're only going to bring in $800 if there's 4 weeks in the month, right? Because it's $200
Yes.
per client session if they're coming to see you once per month. This is that cash flow piece that you're talking about, right? Where
Yes.
it can feel like my marketing isn't generating enough for what I'm spending out, right? But what
Hmm.
happens is if each month, if you keep adding more new clients, then that revenue builds over time. So you're right, the cash flow up front can be a little bit tricky to navigate when you're running an ad.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's just managing that cash flow up front. But then,
Mhm.
like you're saying, if you can start allowing the magic of compound interest and compounding principles to
Yeah.
begin to happen in your business, that's where you're going to have growth and you're going to have success in the long term. I think ultimately one of the biggest goals in business is just to stay in business. So the longer
Yes.
you play the game, the better chance you have to win.
Right.
A lot of times I get in contact with new business owners or people who are kind of just newer to business and they think it's going to be the fast track to a lot of success and a lot of money.
Mhm.
Maybe it can be. That hasn't been my personal experience. It's been 10 years of working hard and slowly getting better at what I do and just incrementally improving my company every single year versus one big boom and all of a sudden we're at a large revenue figure. So I would say just yeah, focus on your finances. Make sure you're in a position where you can continue to invest in your marketing and measure that marketing because it's going to help you feel better about it.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Adam.
No
For
problem.
someone who's listening to this conversation right now, who knows that their website or their marketing isn't working, but
Mhm.
they feel kind of stuck or unsure about where to start, what do you think is a small, doable step that they can take this week to move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would start with a little bit maybe of a website audit. We offer free website audits at Fractal Marketing as well as free Google Ad audits.
Mhm.
If anyone has a website that they'd like some help getting an audit on, or is running Google Ads and would like us to take a look at the campaigns, be happy to do that for you, and just kind of give you some clarity around what's working and what might not be working
Mhm.
for you. If you're looking to kind of just do something yourself, I would take a look at your Google business profile. I would make sure your Google's business profile is fully up to date. You have categories in there. All of your contact information is correct. Like your address on your business profile is the same as the address on your website. That's very important. So focus on your website, your ad account, and your business profile, I would say.
Amazing, amazing. Adam, thank you. This has
No
been,
problem.
such a helpful and I think clarifying conversation. And I know that a lot of therapists listening are hopefully going to feel less intimidated and maybe more empowered to show up online in a way that feels good and actually works. But before we wrap things up, you just mentioned, I think, two really important pieces with the Google Ads audit and the website audit that you offer. So, can you maybe tell our listeners and people how they can connect with you to get that free Google Ads or website offer that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit www.fractalmarketing.ca. Very simple to just contact us through our website. You can also find me on LinkedIn, just under Adam Jesperson, if you want to send me a message about anything we chatted about today. Happy to answer any questions there as well. And yeah, those are kind of the two easiest ways I think to get in contact with us.
Amazing, amazing. Well, and to all of our listeners, if you are ready to build a private practice that supports your life and doesn't drain it, then I want to invite you to visit us online at buildyourprivatepractice.ca for resources, programs, and support that is designed for Canadian therapists. And if you have found today's episode helpful, make sure that you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you're feeling generous, I'd love it if you left us a quick rating or review. It helps more therapists find the show, and I so appreciate your support. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Build Your Private Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a fellow Canadian therapist who needs this. And remember, the work you do matters. Keep showing up, keep holding space, and keep building a practice that works for you. If you're looking for practical tools or support to grow your practice with more clarity and confidence, head to buildyourprivatepractice.ca. There's lots waiting for you there. I'll see you next time.